Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Xiong. If demographics are destiny, then China is facing its biggest challenge in decades with no easy long-term solution in sight. Chinese communist regime is increasingly desperate. On November 23rd, China Report published an editorial piece titled, "To implement the three-child policy, Communist Party members and the cadets should act accordingly." The article said, quote, "No party member should use any excuse, objective or personal, to not marry or have children, nor can they use any excuse to have only one or two children. Every CCP member should shoulder the responsibility and obligation of the country's population growth and act on the three-child policy," unquote. Although the original article can no longer be found on China Report Network, screenshots have been widely circulated on social media, and a related hashtag had garnered more than 5.7 million views on Weibo, China's Twitter-like social media platform, as of last Thursday afternoon. Thousands of Weibo users expressed shock and indignation at the commentary, with one citing the law on the protection of rights and interests of women, which stipulates individuals have the freedom not to give birth. The article also said, "Indeed, some party cadets can no longer sire children due to old age or health, but they shall actively educate, guide, and encourage family members or neighbors to carry out the three-child policy. They absolutely shall not ignore the fact that their family members and neighbors to not marry and not to be parents, and that they shall not find any excuse to not interfere that their family members and neighbors having less than 3 children." Government researchers have predicted that China's population will peak at 1.4 billion people in 2029. However, it will then experience an unstoppable decline that could see it drop to 1.36 billion by 2050, reducing the workforce by as much as 200 million. China's fertility rate has now officially dropped to 1.6 children per woman, which is below the considered replacement rate of 2.1 children, although analysts have questioned whether the real rate could be as low as 1.18. Even a rate of 1.3 would see China's population more than half in just under 80 years. Should fertility rates remain unchanged, then China could even shrink to 1.17 billion people by 2065, according to the China Academy of Social Science. In May, China allowed couples to have 3 children, ending the two-child policy introduced in 2016. China had a controversial one-child policy which was strictly enforced with punishments including fines for violators and forced abortions from 1980. Beijing has also made it cheaper and easier for couples to have children by increasing parental leave and providing direct payments. Part of the government's motivation to crack down on the private tutoring sector and the property market in school districts is to address the rising costs of education, which remains a major deterrent for parents thinking of having children. Will these measures work? Hardly. Why? Because the centerpiece of the low fertility rate is women, who has more say in the family regarding whether to have children, and if they do, how many children to have. Today, Chinese women have changed. They don't care to be only the reproductive tool of the family or the state. A large percentage of today's women of childbearing age are from the one-child generation, who have grown up in an affluent society and enjoy the lavish attention of their parents and grandparents. They tend to be assertive people who dare to pursue their own dreams. Many urban women are well-educated and career-minded, according to a survey conducted by Zhao Pin, one of China's largest online recruitment platforms. In 2017, more than 40% of working women with no children were unwilling to have children. Close to 63% with one child didn't want to have another one, and more than 63% believed childbearing would negatively affect their career development. The biggest hurdle for women is the fact that it is increasingly harder for young mothers to return to work. The more children they have, the more difficult. This is the finding of an 8-year study conducted by researchers Wang Jun and Shi Renbing at the Huazhong University of Science and Technology. Between 2010 and 2018, they surveyed 7,600 people in 25 provinces. The survey found that women who seek to return to work after having one child see their chance of finding a job fall by 6.6%, and another 9.3% after a second child. According to the survey, the impact is more apparent among families with low or medium incomes. The study did not examine the causes of the change. In 2010, China ranked the first in the World Bank's measure for female labor force participation at 73%. 10 years later, the female labor force participation rate had decreased to 60% by 2020, while the ratio for men was around 70%. Another recent study showed that both men and women see their wages drop after they become parents. Lu Xiaoling is a headhunter in Shanghai. She told online publication Six Tone that her clients had expressed preferences for male candidates when they want ambitious employees or expect the staff to travel frequently on business. She said, "The time and energy that a woman with one or more children can spend on their job will definitely decrease compared with when they are childless. Their life focus will naturally shift to the family and their kids. They will be less dedicated to their jobs or less ambitious in their career. This is understandable, but employers need to calculate the output of their staff. It's realistic." Chinese law bans gender discrimination, but such practice continues. In late November, Shanghai announced a policy to prolong paid maternity leave by 30 days, entitling women to 158 days off after having a baby. Many provinces and municipalities have extended maternity leave. In addition to Shanghai, the provinces of Jiangsu, Jiangxi, and Hubei extended maternity leave by 30 days, while Beijing and Shanxi province said they'd extend it by 60 days. Such policies obey the good intention, but have made employers to reconsider hiring women with children, particularly with young children. On December 9th, Washington Post reported the story of Zhao Zihuan, a first-time mother in the Chinese city of Jinan, who had 2 miscarriages before giving birth to a son last year. The 7-hour labor ended in an emergency C-section. Exhausted by childcare, Ms. Zhao, who is 32-year-old, and her husband decided one child was enough. So in April, they began to inquire about a vasectomy. Yet they were turned down by 2 hospitals. One doctor told Zhao's husband that the surgery was no longer allowed under the country's new family planning rules. Chinese family planning law says citizens' reproductive rights, including choosing birth control, are protected. There is no official ban or specific restriction on the surgery, though hospitals and doctors conducting vasectomies along with tubal ligations and abortions for women must be approved by county-level health departments. 12 public hospitals contacted by the Washington Post, including facilities in Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, said they no longer offered the procedure. 6 hospitals said they still performed the surgery, but one said it was no longer available to unmarried men. Couples and single men who sought the procedure said the doctors and the hospital staff refused, telling them they would regret the decision later. Some asked for documentary proof of marriage and evidence that couples had already had children before going ahead with the surgery. For now, you might think Chinese government will do everything it can to encourage large family. The larger, the better. That is not the case with Zhang Rongrong. When she and her husband decided to have 7 children, they had to pay $155,000 fine, US dollars. Without paying the fine, the children, 5 boys and 2 girls, including a set of twins, aged between 1 and 14, would not have received their all-important identity documents. Zhang runs a garment factory, a jewelry company, and a skincare business in Guangdong province in southern China. Why would Miss Zhang have 7 children? In her own words, quote, "When my husband's away on trips and the older kids are also away for study, I still have other children around me. When I'm old, they can visit me in different batches," unquote. Zhang said that while she had always dreamed of being a successful businesswoman, she knows future success may be limited with so many children now. Quote, "I know that I may not be able to make further achievements at work. If I devote all of myself to work, I won't be able to care for my family. I have to make a choice." Her choice cost her $150,000. Beijing should instead give her a medal and reward her with that much money, if not more. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.